folks. Well, here we are. We've leaving work. We just got the knockdown sprayed and we're starved to death. And I don't know if I've got it all over my face or not, but let's see. No, I'm still pretty. Anyway, we got to stop up here and let ALB open the gate, and we got to run out to the hardware store and get some more screws and this, that, and the other. All right, LB, you get the gate. Old LB, he's my buddy. He good gracious, there goes the biggest squirrel ever was across that power line up there. That squirrel about eats you.
It did, didn't it?
It did.
How are you?
Well, see there, now you're going to be on the World Wide Web.
Famous.
They're going to know everything about Father Buchanan, you and Stuart, Jeffrey and Paul.
Something, ain't there?
The saga that happens there.
Maybe they'll get a kick out of it all.
Well, no, I was rolling along and thought that, well, since it's dinner time, that I'd take the opportunity to share with you another story about my old buddy Matt. And this actually has to do with motorcycle riding. Matt was not, he was a bigger boy than me. As we was growing up, well, there was no political correctness, and I still ain't very good at it myself. And but they called him Fat Matt, and they called me Skinny Matt, because he was bigger than me. But anyhow, after Matt's big calamity, the first ride he ever had on a motorcycle ended in disaster. It wasn't even a motorcycle, it was a mini bike. He wrecked that thing, tore himself all to pieces, ate gravel, cut him up, had to take him to the emergency room, stitches and sewing his teeth back in his head and everything in the world. I've got a picture somewhere that I'm gonna try to find and get it, but at that point in time, his mama pretty much banned him from all motorized forms of transportation. But I always had one, and he would, now she would let him ride with me for some reason. I don't know why, but she wouldn't let him have one of his own. And he'd beg me, oh, me, please, Matt, let me drive, please, please. And he'd beg me for a day or two, and then I'd finally get to feeling sorry for him, and so I'd let him ride. And just about never failed. Generally, every time Matt drove, we crashed. And sometimes I was on the back with him. And, well, this one time in particular, it was a good, nice summer day. Sun was shining, and we'd been riding. We'd been to his house. I don't know what we was doing. Maybe stealing gasoline out of one of the cars, or eating sandwiches, or it's untelling with me and him what we were doing. But anyhow, he had begged me for days to let me ride. So I thinks to myself, well, I don't guess it'll hurt to let him drive down to the house, because we wasn't going far, just down to my house. And I always would put the helmet on him. And I told him, I said, all right, I said, now I'll let you drive, but now if you get to going too fast, I'm gonna bust you right in the ribs. I said, I'm gonna beat you. I said, and I would have too. We fought like cats and dogs. He hit me in the head one time with a big old rock. I mean, we was all time. We loved one another, but we'd light into killing one another too. But anyhow, we headed off down through there, and at first he was doing real good. And then I don't know what happened to him. And it still happens to him today. I can see it in his eyes. I can tell it's coming on. Here's what it sounds like. That's what it sounds like, and that's what he done on that mini bike. Man, he laid the throttle down on that thing, and here we went. Well, I mean, we was all going downhill anyhow, and we was picking up speed. Well, we was coming, and I slammed him a time or two in the side of the ribs, and it didn't slow him down none. And we crossed the little wooden bridge that was there, and we was coming into a sharp right-hand 90-degree curve, and I thought, oh my gosh, how we made it around that curve still to this day. I think about it, and I'm amazed at how a motorcycle will take a curve. He laid that sucker over in there. We was dragging the foot pegs, and I looked, and there was a fishtail of gravel slinging off to the side. And, well, he straightened her back up, right on past the house we went, wide slam open. And I went to wailing on him, wham, wham, just as hard as I could hit him. And we got so far, and the road was going to end. There wasn't no more road left. And so at the end of our road, the highway went up through there, and then over across there was an old logging road, whatnot, but there's a creek. And I know we wasn't going to make it. So before we got to the highway, I just rolled right off the back of that thing. And I rolled and warped and flopped and finally come to a stop, and it was bad. I mean, the last thing I heard was wing, 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 as that he went over the edge. I didn't know what happened to him or nothing else. Well, it knocked the breath out of me, and I was bruised up and cut up. And I finally got up. I was like, oh my gosh. And and I could hear that mini bike laying down there in the creek. Bing, 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 bing. Well, I looked over, and smoke was coming off of it, and the tires still spinning. Bing, bing. Well, I got down in the creek and got it cut off and got it stood up to where it wouldn't get no water in the motor. And I was amazed. It went across the creek to the far side of it. It's the only reason it didn't get water in the motor, but there was no mat. He was gone. And I thought, oh my Lord, what's happened to it? And here comes the ambulance. So anyhow, you know what that means? That means somebody's day ain't going the way they planned. That's what an ambulance always means. But anyway, I got to looking for him, and I couldn't find him nowhere. Now you got to imagine that it's not like it is here. I mean, where we live, it looks like a jungle. Briars had growed up, and where they had logged, I mean, there was glaps and bushes and laurel bushes, and I couldn't find him nowhere. And I looked, and then I started getting worried, because I thought, oh Lord, his mama's gonna kill me because I've got her son killed. Well, I climbed up on a big stump that they had pushed over to where I could look over top of everything, and I just got up there and got to listening, and I heard him, and it sounded like he's in a tunnel. Help me, help me, help me, help me. And I heard him. He's real faint though, and I thought, what in the world? But I couldn't see him, and I got to looking, and I got to listening, and finally I spotted him. Except for I didn't see him. All I seen was his hiney end stuck straight up, and he was a wiggling and a jerking, a hollering, help me, help me. Well, I made my way through the briars and the bushes over there. Well, what had happened was when he went over the creek, somehow or another, it had launched him, and he had went over the creek, over the road, over the laurel bushes, over the briars. He'd went over all of them, and he had went head first up underneath an old dead rotten log. Well, his head was stuck up underneath that log. He couldn't get his head out, and the helmet was like a cam. It was every time he'd try to pull, his head would get that much more stuck, and so he couldn't get up in there to get it loose. His hands wouldn't fit up in there, and well, I got tickled then, and I went to laughing. He said, "Matt, it ain't funny. Help me, help me." Well, I couldn't get my hands in there to get the helmet loose, so I had to take my pocket knife, and I run up in there beside his throat, and I just cut it loose. I cut him a little bit, but not bad. But yeah, I always had to watch him. He is a speed demon. He always has been. And I don't know if he'll ever change or not. But anyway, just thought I'd share that little story with you here at dinner time. And there's a whole lot more. We rode a lot of summers. We had a lot of crashing. And that little bell that's going off, is my phone. Somebody's a ding-donging me to death. Alright, folks. I'm going to check these messages and we're going to paint some walls, and I'll talk to you guys.